Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and this video is to answer a question I receive very often. Is Eric, you have a Hasselblad digital camera, here it is. I also have some film ones, okay? And some have noticed that I've got only one lens with my digital Hasselblad, and they also know that I've reviewed several Fujifilm GFX cameras, and they asked me basically, Eric, are you going to get more of the Hasselblad? Are you planning to go towards Fujifilm? If you get more medium format gear, what will you choose? Go for more Hasselblad or go to GFX by Fujifilm, okay? So I'm going to try this answer, explain a bit my way of thinking, putting myself in the position of taking this decision and what are the steps in case I would go for it, okay? So let's start. One thing that it is really clear to me, both brands offer really great quality. Both systems are really good, good gear, okay? No problem with that. And both offer what we're going to see today is medium format. Medium format is not half the size of full frame, okay? It's larger than full frame, is 43.8 millimeter by 32.9 millimeter instead of 36 by 24. And for many years in film photography, that was what pro were using, except maybe for press and action photography and some reportage. Otherwise, medium format was really the big reference for magazine, for fashion, all this. Sometimes even larger than medium format, like some for landscapes. There was even larger that does not exist actually in digital, okay? But this was the reference. But in digital, for many years, it was so expensive that not many people could afford it. But prices have dropped so much that now prices are not much different than a full-frame high-end camera. So we're going to have a look at what both brands offer and the pros and cons for each, and my final opinion or decision for me, okay? Not everyone has to agree, okay? Well, we're going to see first what this brand are offering as bodies, camera bodies, okay? Both brands are using Sony sensors, and several cameras have the same sensor, although it's not the same brand, okay? So if you look at the left on Fujifilm GFX, the GFX 100 Mark II, which is the latest Fujifilm camera, 102 megapixel, IBIS, 16 bits of colors, and no SSD disk, okay? The price is 7,999 euros, sorry, or 7,499 US dollars. This sensor is the most recent sensor of all of them, okay? All of this camera, both brands together, okay? And then there is a GFX 100S that is also 102 megapixel, but it's a bit older sensor than the GFX 100 Mark II, okay? That's IBIS, 16-bit of colors, no SSD, and the price is 5,999 euros or 5,999 US dollars. Then you get the GFX 50S Mark II with 51 million pixel, IBIS, 14-bit of color, no SSD, and the price is 3,999 euros or 3,999 US dollars. But right now, when I'm recording this video, there is a massive discount, 1,000 euro discount, so it costs a big gift, I think, 2,999 euros. Okay, I don't know when you see the video, okay? If we look at Hasselblad, the X2D has 102 megapixel, but is not as a recent sensor. It's the same as the GFX 100S, but not the GFX 100 Mark II, okay? And it has IBIS, 16-bit of color, and 1 terabyte of SSD drive, okay? Price, 8,699 euros or 8,199 US dollars. Then you have the 907X CFV100C with 102 megapixel. This is the same sensor as the X2D, no IBIS, 16-bit of color, 1 terabyte SSD, and the price is 7,799 euros or 8,199 US dollars. So it's the same sensor as the GFX 100S, okay, and the X2D, okay. Then you have this one, the X1D Mark II. I think that's the one that will disappear, okay. 51 megapixel, no IBIS, 16-bit of color, no SSD, and the price is 5,999 euros or 5,750 US dollars. And this one has the same sensor as the GFX 50S Mark II. And then the one I have is the 107X with the CFV Mark II 50C. It's 51 million pixel, no IBIS, 16-bit of color, no SSD, and the price is 6,590 euros or 6,399 US dollars. So this is the same sensor as the GFX 50S2. Okay, as you can see, between both brands they have 7 camera bodies. Okay, well, first conclusion, we can see that the latest sensor is by Fujifilm. Well, it's used by Fujifilm. It's a Sony sensor used by Fujifilm on the GFX 100 Mark II. We can see that all Fujifilm cameras have an IBIS stabilization. None of them has SSD, and the entry-level one has used 14 bits of color, despite using the same sensor as the Hasselblad that makes it work in 16 bits. Okay, and the entry price is 3,999 euros if you want to enter the Fujifilm system. Which actually now with discount is 2,999, which is a lot cheaper. Okay, and if we look at Hasselblad, we can see they all work with 16 bits of color. Just only one body has in-body image stabilization, which is the X2D. 2 have SSD. And one thing I don't know is how long SSD drive will work properly in a camera. No idea, because it's really new to use that. Okay, so it sounds good, but we don't know about future. Okay, and the entry level price in Hasselblad is 5,999 euros, so 5,750 US dollar, which is like 2,000 euros more expensive. Okay, and now with discount on Fuji, it's 3,000 euros more expensive. Okay, when you choose a system, you cannot just choose the body. You have to look at everything, what lenses they have, accessories, all this. Okay, so if we look at lenses, both systems have something really different. Fujifilm has a total of 17 lenses, 5 zoom, 10 prime lenses, and 2 tilt and shift lenses. Okay, one of the lenses is macro, or 1 or 2, I can't remember, and then you have a teleconverter also. But what's important is to see what focal length are covered. Well, they cover from 23 up to 250 millimeter in medium format, which is the equivalent of a more or less 18 to 200 millimeter in full frame. Okay. If you look at Hasselblad, they have a lot less lenses. Instead of 17, they have 12, which is only 1 zoom, 11 prime lenses, and they cover from 28mm to 135mm. On the 135 they have, you can put the teleconverter 1.7, so that pushes that to 229mm. So it means they actually cover from 22, equivalent in full frame, from 22 to 106mm, and with teleconverter up to 180mm equivalent full frame. Okay. They had a 21mm, but it's not available anymore, so it means the widest angle they cover is 28mm in medium format. So they have 1 macro, and they don't have any tilt and shift lenses, things like this, that are really useful when you do architecture or product photography and many things. Okay, so as you can see, the Hasselblad lenses are a lot more limited. Okay, so it all depends on what you want to do. For some people it will be really short, and for other people that will be fine. Okay, when we speak about Fujifilm and Hasselblad, many people speak about the color system. Fujifilm has a traditional approach of Adobe RGB or sRGB. It also have the JPEG with film simulation. Okay, they work on 14 bits on the 50 million pixel or 16 bits on the 100 million pixel sensor. Okay, and this is what you would get on any other camera. Hasselblad doesn't use Adobe or RGB, sRGB. Don't use this. They have what they call Hasselblad Natural Color System, HNCS. They'll work in 16 bits. And when you listen to people who've been using it, they said, yeah, these are the best color you can get. They are so exact, so precise, so everything, and blah, blah, blah. Well, honestly, as the sentence that says, a lie told 1,000 times becomes truth. Well, I don't say it's a lie, but honestly, I'll show you two pictures with the same lighting, same situation. One is a close-up, one is not. The result, I get different colors. If this system was so brilliant and they said it's really fantastic for skin color, why does it give me a different color? Should it not detect the skin and match colors on both pictures? It does not. So I don't say it's a bad system. I say it's not as good as people want to tell. And I think there's a lot of hype on this system, okay? And honestly, I never had any problem to get the same colors on a picture made by the Fujifilm camera and by a Hasselblad camera. So I know people say it's not true. You see a difference. Honestly, I don't see any, okay? There's both are great system, but honestly, there's no color you get by Hasselblad you cannot get by Fujifilm, in my experience. Maybe yours is different, okay? It's also important to analyze the use in real life, and I think Fujifilm camera are a lot more versatile. You can use them in many situations, and yes, they are, I think, faster to use. The autofocus is faster. It's not the fastest one compared to some full frame cameras, but it's a lot faster than the Hasselblad. Hasselblad is a slow system. Even out of 4 cameras, only one has IBIS, so that limits you a lot. You cannot drop speed too much because you will have shake. So only the X2D is above the rest regarding this. And even though even the X2D is slow. They finally put a firmware that detects faces, not eyes, faces, but it's not as you can imagine, like on any other camera, when it detects faces, it detects it, and then you shoot, and that's it. No, on the Hasselblad, it detects a face, and you have to confirm half pressing that is this face, and then that we focus on that face, and then you can trigger. So you waste a lot of time. They are slow cameras to use. So for me, they are not versatile at all. Although some people show you, they do some reportage, street photography with it. Yeah, but that's not the same story. That's really a slow pace, different way of working, and I think they are not versatile at all, okay? When you buy a camera, you also want to know about the future. Will they update firmware, better your camera via a firmware update? If we look at Fujifilm, as maybe you know, whether it's an X mount or GFX, they really work on new firmware update on a regular basis, okay? If we look at Hasselblad, honestly, this is a disaster. My camera, they never updated the firmware regarding the fact that you have to pick if you want the grid to compose or you want the level to know if it's leveled. You cannot have the histogram before shooting, all this. They never updated anything about this. On the new version, 100 megapixel, yes, you can do it, but they never fixed the first version, the 50 million pixel version. So I think this is not serious. Second, the X2D, which is top of the range Hasselblad camera right now, well, it took them almost 1 year to issue the firmware that detects faces, not even eyes, but faces, and it's not even a perfect or very good face detection system. 1 year for that. So honestly, if we look at Hasselblad firmware update policy, this is a complete disaster. On this point, Fujifilm is a lot more serious and better. If we look at the IBIS, well, all Fujifilm cameras have IBIS. If we look at Hasselblad, only the X2D has IBIS. So I compare just with that one, and the results are really similar. So, well, nothing to complain on either side. I wish Hasselblad had all their camera body stabilized, but it's maybe not possible on the 907X system, okay? But yes, IBIS is similar. When you get a camera like this, maybe you will use it indoor, studio photography, portrait, product photography, fashion, or you will use it outdoor with rain, snow, cold, freezing anything, okay? If we look at the Fujifilm camera, they all are weather sealed, and all the lenses are weather sealed except the two tilt and shift lenses, okay? But all the rest is fully sealed, no problem, okay? But if we look at Hasselblad, then I'm worried. First, out of four cameras, three are not, well, two are clearly not protected, which are the two 907X, okay? The X1D Mark II, that's not clear. And the X2D, there's a problem because when you speak to a salesperson, they say, yeah, it is weather sealed. When you speak to if you go to any fair, they say, yeah, it's sealed. But there is no official IP grade by Hasselblad. So you don't actually know if it's true or not, if you're just being lucky, if you have no problem with rain or dust, or yes, it is sealed. That's not clear, and that's a problem because if tomorrow you have a problem with the camera, it's really easy for Hasselblad to say, yeah, well, we never said it was sealed, so maybe you didn't use it properly, and that's it. And you cannot say anything because they never told you it was sealed. You can say, yeah, the salesman told me, yeah, but where is it written? Where's the contract? Where is this? So for me, that's not correct. For that price tag, that level, that there is not an official IP grading. That's a problem for me, okay? Obviously, the 90X, I would never put it outdoor because, outdoor, yes, but under the rain, because you clearly see it's not sealed. There's no doubt on this. But on X2D, I don't understand these doubts. So when we decide what body to buy, then we need to decide what lens to put on it. So here there are several lenses. I didn't put all of them, obviously. I put like 6 on each side, equivalent focal length more or less to give you an idea of prices, okay? And except the 45mm 4.0 by Hasselblad, that is the cheapest lens, okay? All the Hasselblad lenses, and 28 that doesn't have too much difference with the 30mm, except this, they all are a lot more expensive than Fujifilm, between 1,500 and 2,500 euros, more or less, more expensive than the Fujifilm. But what bothers me is not that. What bothers me is the new lens policy by Hasselblad. They create a new line with the 28, 38, 55 and 90mm that are smaller, lighter. They look nicer. They're really nice, really, really great design. But if you look at the results, they're not as good as the one they had before. If you look at the Hasselblad website, you see the curves and the things like the way it made shape change in picture or vignetting, all this. They all are worse than before. Okay, but Hasselblad says, yeah, there is some deformation. Yes, there is this, but it's all fixed using our software Focus to edit your raw file, okay, to develop the raw file. So for me, that's not valid. Someone who buys Hasselblad is same as someone who buys Leica. They want absolute optical quality, native, not fixed by software. So I know these lenses are really beautiful when you look at them. They're light, all this, but the optical quality is not as good as it used to be, and price is crazy. Okay, except the 28mm price and yeah, on the new system, the new lenses, except crazy. So if we look at it, check what lenses you could be interested in, make your numbers and decide. But as you can see, Hasselblad is a lot more expensive. Okay. So after speaking about lenses, it's important to speak about shutter speed because both systems are completely different. Hasselblad has a leaf shutter that is in the lens, and Fujifilm has a plain focal shutter that is in the body. Okay, what's the difference? Well, when in the leaf shutter it closes like this, make the picture, it will cut everything, and actually you can synchronize flash at any speed, okay? But the speed depends on the lens you're using. So not all lenses they have the same possible speed. They go up to 1/2000th of a second or 1/4000th of a second. In theory, that's fantastic. This is my favorite system, okay? What's the problem? If I'm going to make a picture, I want to cut ambient light and I'm 1/4000th of a second because this lens allows it. If my flash duration is longer than that, my leaf shutter will also cut flash light, not just the ambient light, also light coming from the flash. So it means you need to have really good flashes, and even some top of the shelf, I would say, flashes. If you're at maximum power, they don't have such a short lighting. Okay, that means your leaf shutter will cut light. No one speaks about that, but you need to know that. Okay, I still think it's a great system. If we look at the Fujifilm system, the maximum speed of the body is 1/4000th of a second, 1/4000. That's fine, okay, that's really good. But the flash synchro is only 1/125. That's short for me, okay? I wish it was 1/250 of a second. In theory, that's a problem for me because I make a lot of picture in outdoor, ambient light, and flash. But this is a theory. In my practice, this medium format camera, they have a shallow depth of field. It means very often I'm shooting at f8 instead of 2.8, f4. I'm shooting on f8, okay, on my APS-C, whatever, okay, or Micro Four Thirds or full frame, okay. So that means that at f8 it already cuts everything, ambient light and also flashlight. So it means that very often I don't need to go HSS, I don't need to use an ND filters, and that's fine. So in theory, that's too short for me, 125th of a second. I need a faster, 1/250th. But in practice, I can escape with that. I still prefer leaf shutter, but to my big surprise, using the cameras, there's no drama not to have it, okay? You probably know what camera you prefer or lens you would buy, all this, but we should also look at the commercial side of it and also the technical service, okay? So you want to buy a camera, a lens, or you need a lens because you just dropped the one you have, all this. So availability at Fujifilm. Except some lenses like the 30mm tilt and shift, that was such a success, it's really hard to get. But more or less all the rest you can get the lens, you can buy more, you have available, okay? If we look at Hasselblad, this is a complete disaster. Since DJI is the main shareholder, it is a complete disaster. The 90mm, it took a year for people who bought it to receive it, 1 year, okay? The 28mm I wanted to buy, yeah, it's a great lens, not too expensive, and they presented it and they flew that, poof. And now they cannot even tell me when it will be available. They don't know. They could say a month, 2 months, they don't know. And many lenses are like this at Hasselblad. So as a professional, maybe tomorrow they tell you, oh, there's a special segment to do in a month's time or 2 weeks' time that you would like to get an extra lens or backup lens or backup body, whatever. Yeah, with Fujifilm you can do it. But with Hasselblad you cannot rely on that. So that's really a big, massive problem because you need to know when it will be available and if it's available. And they cannot tell you, and they don't have, there are many things they don't have in stock, okay? That's really a big problem, and they cannot say when it will be available, okay? If we look at the technical service, well, any brand, they always have some people that complain, okay? But still, Fujifilm more or less is normal. People are more or less happy most of the time, okay? If you look at Hasselblad, I've seen many people that have the same camera as mine complaining that it has to be returned 3 times to get it fixed. It didn't work properly. So honestly, it is a real disaster. So yeah, as a professional, you need to rely on what they tell you and what they do, all this. If you have to wait for a year for a lens, or a month, or a year for a firmware upgrade, that's a massive problem, okay? So I think Hasselblad is becoming an amateur camera. It's not amateur in the bad way. It's an amateur in the way that you don't make money with your photography. And if the lens is not available, that's no drama. if you have a camera body problem or you want to buy a second body and it's not available yet, that's no drama. It's not your money. You don't eat out of this. So it's like Leica M. Many people use them. They're not professional. They're just people wealthy enough to buy this. They enjoy these great cameras, but they don't have to rely on seriousness of the company, because Hasselblad is now a big disaster regarding availability, technical service, all this. Another point that worries me a lot is the company attitude regarding the gear. Last year, or year before, they said we stopped the H series from one day to another, and people had bought a body that cost like 36,000 euros, like the H6D, and several lenses. All of a sudden they tell you, no, we don't make that anymore. Yeah, but my lenses, oh, you can have an adapter and use it on this X system. Yeah, but the sensor is smaller. Doesn't matter. And they let you down this way. Is that serious? For that price tag? That's crazy. That scares me. That scares me. So yeah, if we look at future, I'm worried about the DJI policy since they're there, and they could have made a mirrorless 7 HD maybe that would use the H lenses and have the same sensor size, but they did not, and that's worrying, seriously. Okay, it's not reliable. One thing that also bothers me a lot is the latest camera by Hasselblad, the 907X with the 100 megapixel, 102 megapixel digital back. Many YouTubers spoke about it like just pure hype. Ah, great, incredible. Only a couple of YouTubers have been honest, like the guys at Petapixel, Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake, who explain that with 100 megapixel it's better to have a tripod, all this. I see with mine with 50 million pixel, you need to be really steady, hold your breath if you're hand holding, okay? And with 100 pixel it's even worse. So I see this guy walking around like he picture here, picture that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it that they get this result. Obviously, or it's really sunny, or they don't check, or they don't see the problem. And also bothers me that all these guys that were pure hype, they tell exactly word by word the same thing. It means they're following a script by Hasselblad. And I don't like this. I want people to experiment with the camera, give their sincere opinion, honest opinion, even if they're wrong, but at least you see it's different. It was like a photocopy from one to the other, okay? So that makes me worry when a brand goes this way with marketing. Yeah, lend your cameras to the guys, let them test it, and let them tell whatever they want, okay? But people are exaggerating. This is a great camera, the 100C, okay? But 907X with the 100C back, great camera, but people need to know it works. Otherwise, they may buy it and be really disappointed. Be honest, guys, be honest. This is not an easy camera to use, okay? You cannot work in low light or even afternoon light without a tripod. Tell the truth, please tell the truth, okay? And I'm not happy that Hasselblad is going this way, creating hype using YouTubers. I don't like that. Well, my conclusion. I love my Hasselblad camera. I really like to use it. The fact that I can also use it on use the back on my film camera, I just love it. But the fact that they don't have availability, they cannot tell you anything, makes me think that I don't want to buy the 28mm anymore, because I think it's not correct. They said, yeah, in 2 months we have it, in 3 months, no, they cannot even tell you. That's not serious, okay? So I love leaf shutter. I think it's a great system. It's a better system, honestly. But I have to forget my heart and think about reason, okay? And first, that 907 I have is fine for what I do for fun, but for work, I would have to look at the X2D. If we look at the X2D, honestly, I cannot rely on a company that takes a year to send you the lens you bought, a year to get a firmware update that is not perfect, okay, it's not really face detect as any camera would work, and availability, you don't know what they're doing. So that's a big problem. I mean, as an amateur, it doesn't matter. If your money doesn't rely on your work, photography work, doesn't matter. If it takes an extra month to get a lens, there's no problem. If it takes a year, maybe it's not even a problem, okay? But as a professional, you cannot have that. So for me, it doesn't matter if I prefer the leaf shutter. It doesn't matter if I would prefer what, this or that. It's out of question to be buying more Hasselblad. It's not possible. So yes, if I decided to get more medium format gear, I would definitely go for Fujifilm. I love Fujifilm also, okay? It's not just because there's no other option, okay? But because of Hasselblad attitude, there is no question. I don't even look at the price. The fact that they're not reliable and they let down the H series from one day to another, say goodbye. Okay, we don't make it anymore, and that's it. And people that spend 36,000 euros on I call that H6D body, they're just down. That's not serious. I cannot be using a brand that is not serious for that price tag, okay? So definitely I would be so happy to get some Fujifilm GFX, although I love the Hasselblad, but the company attitude since DJI is there is not serious enough for me. It's not reliable, okay? So it doesn't matter if they're good or bad camera. They're great cameras, but it doesn't matter. As a professional, it needs to be reliable. So for me, the answer to the first question is simple. If I get more, I would get some Fujifilm GFX, no doubt about it. Okay, so yeah, if you don't rely on money, pick any, you will be happy, I'm sure. Okay, so that's the answer to the question many people ask me. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So button down here is a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, links of everything I reviewed by K&F Concept, Sandmarc, and Flashes by Westcott, more affiliating links, and also a link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Thank you very much. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.